Hi friends, it's Amy here. Now in this lesson, your students are going to be working on estimating sums and differences. All right, we have a new standard here. Math, grade 3, number sense and operation, standard 2, add and subtract multi-digit whole numbers, build an understanding of multiplication and division operations. The benchmark is 2.1, add and subtract multi-digit whole numbers, including using a standard algorithm with procedural fluency, which we will get to in later lessons. All right, the students may look at a problem like this. Tom's sunflower grew to a height of 586 centimeters, while Emily's sunflower grew to a height of 113 centimeters. How much taller is Tom's sunflower than Emily's sunflower? Okay, so in this case, they're estimating the difference. New vocabulary word for your children. An estimate is close to the exact difference. So there's two ways that we can estimate sums and differences of the three-digit numbers. So first of all, we can round it. We can round it to the nearest 10. So if we're looking at 586, we know that rounds to 590, and we're finding the difference. And 113 would round to 110. And so the difference would be 480 centimeters. Now, another way that they could do this is to use what we call compatible numbers. Now, a compatible number is a number that's close to the number, but it's easy to work with. So maybe we say, well, if I'm looking at these two numbers, 586, that's close to 600, 113, it's close to 100. So maybe they use 600 minus 100 to get 500 centimeters. So this is going to be one of those fun homework assignments with your students where there's not going to be one exact correct answer. Either one of these answers would be acceptable estimates. So they'll practice with some problems like this. So like with this first one, we might choose to round it first of all and make it 310 plus 190. That's rounding it to the nearest 10. And so that would be 500. We might use compatible numbers. This is close to 300. This is close to 200. So we might use 300 plus 200. We get the same estimate in this case. Some people might want to be a little bit more accurate and use 310 plus 185. So all of those would be acceptable. Then with differences, again, we might make this 760 minus 280. Now, if we rounded it, okay, we haven't yet tackled subtraction with borrowing. So the students might have a little bit of a struggle with this. They might have to think through with this one and say, well, 760, if I take away 200, that would be 560. If I take away another 80, that would be 480. So they might choose to use different numbers, right? Because it's probably not a good problem I put on there. Okay, so maybe they choose to use compatible numbers. And I say, well, this is close to 750. This one's pretty close to 270 or 300. So maybe 750 minus 300 and we get 450. So again, as long as the students, the important thing is for them to be able to explain why they're using the numbers they're using. All right, we have a word problem here. Now think about, I know word problems can cause a great deal of angst when we are sitting there working through homework problems. One way you can make it fun, almost fell. One way you can make this fun is to turn it into a math detective game. So we're going to do some clue hunting. And so the word problem is a mystery that needs solving. Have your children highlight or underline key information and ask them to look for clues like numbers, operation words, and important details. They become a detective in solving the case. So that might be a fun twist that you could put on it to take away some of the despair that we often have with helping our children with homework. Okay, so Milton Bakery, my favorite bakery in Milton, Florida, actually in the whole, I would say the whole panhandle, probably even the whole state. I digress. My Milton Bakery has 124 donuts in the case out front. They have 862 donuts in the back of the store. About how many donuts do they have in the store? Okay, so again, maybe we say, if you're doing this, what are our clues? What are our clues? So they can underline, oh, here's a clue. They have 124 in the case out front. Here's another clue, 186, under 862. Goodness, I don't know where that number was coming from. In the back of the store. That tells us we're going to be estimating how many do they have in the whole store. So another clue. So we're combining these. So again, maybe I decide to make this use compatible numbers, make that one 125 and make this one maybe 850 or 875. Let's say I do 850, then we could say they have about 975. Again, maybe they choose to round, or maybe they choose different compatible numbers. That could work also. So again, the key is for the students to be able to explain. Question here, amiss for us to talk about is why is estimating sums are different so important? Why would we think about starting off a unit with something like this? Because students are going to actually in this unit be finding sums and differences. We always want them to mentally estimate so that when they get their answer, we can at least look and see if it's reasonable. So maybe I made a mistake here when I was using the algorithm and my answer ended up being something like 500. Well, if this is my estimate, I know that's not reasonable. Also, estimating is super important real world skill to have when you're out and you're paying your bill, you're ordering from a restaurant. It's important to be able to estimate, know how much things are going to cost. All right. Thanks for joining, friends. We'll see you in another lesson.